Hi, Epiphany Jones.
Hey Karen.
Good to see you. I,
Good to see you
I
too.
just thought I'd listen in today.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you've gotten this presentation before, Karen.
That's all right.
Did you realize it was gonna be me presenting today?
I didn't.
No, yeah.
I'm buying what you're selling, though.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
excited. I was just letting them know that we'll actually have a Vista member with your department, hopefully, come June, July, right, as our start date. So
yes.
yeah, no, thank you for joining us. Hopefully you can give some insight as a AmeriCorps supervisor too. So
Yeah, sure. Whatever you need, Epiphany, I'm here for you.
thank you. Let's see.
All right, we don't have anyone else in the waiting room, so I think we can just get started.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. My name is Mary. I'm with the ASU College of Global Futures, and I'm very happy to have Epiphany with us to share more about the hands-on Greater Phoenix AmeriCorps program. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can take that over from there. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate that. So a little bit about me. I work with HandsOn Greater Phoenix. We're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. And here at this organization, I run our AmeriCorps VISTA program. If anyone's familiar with AmeriCorps, AmeriCorps is a very big federal organization. We'll get into that a little bit. But to introduce myself, I've been here with HandsOn for about the past 2 years. So, a big part of my role is doing recruitment, completing onboarding, and making sure that members are supported throughout their year. And I also manage our grant as well through AmeriCorps. Um, a big part of my role is also making sure that, um, on that note of the support of the members, is that they get professional development and they get resources throughout their year. So AmeriCorps can be a really great opportunity for people to not only just get experience, but also get, coaching, mentorship, and support from with us being an intermediary site, you get support not only from your host site, but also um, us as hands-on. And I'll explain a little bit more what those terms are in a little bit. And if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to ask me, raise your hand, chime in. I'm happy to answer, okay? All right. Today our training goals are just to understand a little bit more about AmeriCorps Vista and also hands-on Phoenix, to prepare you to engage your service or at least spark an interest in you looking to join service. Understand different program goals, procedures, guidelines, essentially how our program works. And also just to meet me and we might not have other Vista members currently today, but we do have a Vista previous Vista supervisor. So that'll be a good opportunity for you to learn a little bit more as well. Just a little bit of the context that we'll be going over today, a little bit of overview of AmeriCorps, and also give an overview of hands-on as well. Capacity building, what that means, some of the member benefits, some prohibited activities. It's not as crazy as you think. Some Vista impact, and we can review that. And then, of course, any Q&A questions in my contact, okay? AmeriCorps used to be called the Corporation for National and Community Service. So a lot of times you might see AmeriCorps be referenced as CNCS, or as its full name, the Corporation for National and Community Service. Really, it's just the government name of what AmeriCorps is. AmeriCorps is truly an opportunity for people of all ages and backgrounds. There's a few stipulations. I don't have the stipulations written up here, but the minimum stipulations are that you are at least 18 years of age, you're a U.S. national or lawful permanent resident, and that 18 years of age, U.S. national lawful permanent resident, and you must have a high school diploma or equivalent to be part of AmeriCorps. That's the minimum stipulation. So we have thousands of AmeriCorps members across the U.S. It's not just here in Phoenix. You can go do AmeriCorps in Idaho. You could go to Atlanta, Georgia. You could have it anywhere in rural areas, city, urban areas like here in Phoenix. It's really just trying to find the need. So AmeriCorps' main goal is to alleviate poverty, right? So that can be done in a lot of ways. Poverty looks different for everyone, and the factors that add to poverty are very sporadic and not necessarily one exact thing. Environmentalism is a topic that could help alleviate poverty. Transportation is an opportunity. Of course, food security, housing, all those things are pieces of the goal to alleviate poverty in the community. So, a little bit of background on the different AmeriCorps programs. And I'll explain the umbrella of where hands-on falls in that. So AmeriCorps State and National is a little bit different from AmeriCorps VISTA, which is the program that I run. It varies based on the programming. Some can be 10-month programs, some can be 6-month programs, some can be year programs like ourselves. So it really just depends on the need. And that can be direct and indirect service. So a good example that we like to give to explain what indirect versus direct service is imagine a tutoring program, right? A tutor doing direct service would be tutoring a student or client directly. They go home for the day, right? Indirect service would be more considered imagining a program manager. They're going to be doing that background work. They're going to be doing maybe recruitment for parents to bring their students in, maybe looking for funding for an organization or for this tutoring program to expand, maybe doing recruitment for new hires to tutor, things of that nature. Maybe even building the curricula that the tutors teach. That's more indirect service. So AmeriCorps state and national programs can do both of those things. They can do direct service. They can have members go to a soup kitchen and go and serve food, or we can have an indirect service member go and actually build the programming to make that event or nightly soup kitchen run, right? Then we have AmeriCorps Seniors. AmeriCorps Seniors specifically engages those that are 55 and older in community service. So this looks a little bit different for everyone. A lot of them are, at least from what I'm familiar with, a lot of them can be in schools or other support care facilities. So there's a variety of AmeriCorps seniors. I know one program like Area Agency on Aging, they have an AmeriCorps seniors program. So it really just is looking to engage older individuals in the community. A lot of the times these are retirees. They need an opportunity to get back in, but they're not looking for a full-time job, right? They're just looking to provide service to their community. So. And then AmeriCorps VISTA, which is my bread and butter, we do a 1 year of indirect service. So again, that programmatic building. We offer a poverty level stipend, and it's one of the oldest AmeriCorps programs, actually. So AmeriCorps VISTA, it stands for Volunteers in Service to America. And it was actually created before AmeriCorps, and then it ended up joining AmeriCorps later on. We add on here that it says a poverty level stipend. The idea of AmeriCorps is for the individual that is partaking in the program to experience that of the population that they're serving. So here in Arizona, our stipend is different from another state. It's specific based to that area, and I'll go into what our stipend here is in a little bit later. But the idea is to get an experience, and it can be a privilege to say that you can, take the opportunity away from a year of your life to be able to do this. So you get a limited stipend, but the experience that you get out of it is definitely a very strong one and one that we like to invest in. So I'll go into how AmeriCorps Vista can be fulfilling for someone when we go over our benefits as well, okay? So a little bit of a background of what the umbrella is, especially with changes in federal funding, etc. This is very important to understand where AmeriCorps falls under um, uh, as a program. So VISTA began in 1964 and it eventually became a part of AmeriCorps in 94. And HandsOn ourselves has become an intermediary. We've been an intermediary since 2010. And then it falls to where we place you at a host site. Okay, so AmeriCorps at the very top of that is the federal program. And then under this federal program, we have those previous programming on the previous slide, those programming that I was mentioning. We have AmeriCorps Seniors, we have AmeriCorps State and National, and then we have AmeriCorps VISTA. And then that's where we come in at hands-on, where we place members. So we manage our grant, our federal grant, and then we take the slots that are allotted to us. So we maybe get a dozen slots a year to be able to place a different VISTA member. And we do those with different organizations, nonprofits, 501(c)(3)s, municipalities across the valley. As long as their mission is adhering to looking to alleviate poverty, we can work with you. And that you're a 501(c)(3). Those are huge because we want to make sure that they're getting the most. Those organizations are the people, the staff that are actually going into the community and creating programming that'll support that mission, right? So we definitely look through different host sites. We make partnerships as we go throughout our year to make sure that we're picking the right host sites for our VISTA members to be placed. And we also want to offer a variety of options for VISTA members, right? Because as a program, we have a network now. We have options to place multiple VISTA members across the network. We bring you all together. So with that, we want to make sure that you are able to bring something to the table that provides a little bit of variety so that everyone can learn from one another. Here on my PowerPoint, you'll see some of our partners that we actually are currently working with. City of Phoenix, shout out City of Phoenix. They're a huge partner of ours. We have multiple VISTA members, Sedivaki Museum, Office of Public Health, Office of Sustainability, Office of Innovation. And you'll get to see some more of our past partners that we've worked with towards the end of the slides as well. But we also work with some nonprofits such as Unlimited Potential, Welcome to America Project, Build Love Advocacy Center. HandsOn can also have a VISTA member. Right now, we currently don't. That VISTA member, typically, if it's with us, they're called the VISTA leader. And that's where a VISTA member gets the opportunity to actually support the programming that they were previously involved in. Or, if it wasn't this program, they get to come back into AmeriCorps VISTA and help improve the experience of other AmeriCorps VISTAs that are in our program. So that's a little bit of our umbrella of service, how we fall. You're wondering how hands-on plays a play in this. It adds to our mission, right? We are looking to place volunteers where they're needed the most. And VISTA, standing for Volunteers in Service to America, it aligned really perfectly for our programming. We've been doing it for close to 2 decades now. So it's been a privilege to be part of this programming for sure. Here I have a little bit on the AmeriCorps key principles, AmeriCorps VISTA in particular. So like I mentioned, the goal of AmeriCorps is to alleviate poverty. But alleviating poverty is not as simple as that, right? It's a bigger picture of things. But the key principles to be able to achieve this is looking at these different focuses, right? So I'll go over each one to explain a little bit more what that means. Anti-poverty focus, right? So when we create an AmeriCorps program, our first thing is to think about who are we serving? Also, how are we serving them, right? So we're looking for long-term solutions. You can go and give someone who's hungry a meal, but then that doesn't solve the next 10 meals that they're going to have or the next opportunity to get their own meals in the future. So we're looking for long-term solutions to help the community and individuals. We cannot go and make a short-term solution and expect that the world has changed. We want to build something that is sustainable, right? So going into our next key principle is sustainable solutions. The idea of VISTA is not that the VISTA member now runs the programming that is being created by that member. The idea is that the VISTA is developing a program that can eventually expect the phase out of an AmeriCorps VISTA. So, and this is in any role, really, whether it's a staff member, a VISTA member, even maybe like an internship role. You need to be able to pass on the work that you're doing to someone else, correct? Turnover exists. You won't have the same person in a role for forever, but we also want our program to have some longevity to it. So sustainable solutions are very important for VISTA members to incorporate into their projects because we want to make sure that after a VISTA member leaves, that they are able to make sure that their programming is going to stand strong, to make sure that staff can take on that programming, and so forth after that. Fun fact, actually, Head Start was an AmeriCorps program that was started. And if you, I think it's changed the name now, but Head Start is something that a lot of people are familiar with. And then going on to community empowerment. Right here it says assets, strengths, resources, engaging residents and projects, right? One of the biggest things to consider when you're creating programming for the community is the community, right? You cannot help people you know nothing about. And you also don't want to assert programming into a community that won't be reflective to one, their needs or what they're able to do. So you want to make sure you address their assets. We'll teach you with our programming how to do asset mapping, how to do strength maps, how to look for different resources, maybe doing an analysis of that community. We want you to be able to address all the needs of the community with them involved, doing surveying of the community. How do you make sure that the residents are one going to need the resources that you're not providing through your program? And how are you going to make sure that they keep engaging with it? How do you make sure that they have a voice in what's being said or what's being created? And then last but not least, capacity building. And we'll go into this a little bit on the next slide. A capacity building is essentially creating something with all of these previous principles instilled into it. Capacity building is not just coming and being a part of the machine. You're actually helping build the machine that's working all together, right? So you're achieving community outcomes. You're creating a long-term impact. So you're addressing volunteer management, fundraising, outreach. Think of back to that tutor example that I gave, right? We're doing indirect service. We want a well-rounded program, and that's what capacity building means. We have to address all the things that make a program run, which is volunteers, which is money, which is making sure that you could recruit, do outreach, things of that nature. And then last but not least, to start and expand programs and to move people out of poverty, which is the ultimate mission of AmeriCorps. And this covers a wide range of issues. This could be literacy. This is literally just education for the community. How can we teach them to be more successful in their own community? Addressing poverty, addressing housing, health, environmentalism, sustainable solutions, right? We're trying to make sure that we're addressing all of these wide ranges of issues so that it can really support that mission that AmeriCorps has. So, and then a little bit more into what capacity building is, because a lot of people sometimes when you hear the term capacity building, they're not always familiar with it, right? So I like to say capacity adding versus capacity building, right? Capacity adding would be imagine a soup kitchen, like I mentioned before. I could go to a soup kitchen right now and go volunteer. I'm adding capacity, right? I'm going and giving extra hands to make things move faster. But I'm not, as a regular volunteer, I'm not going to be going in and helping this program past that. Capacity building is creating, you're developing, you're making things more efficient, simpler for the organization, simpler for the community, right? So I like to break it up into four pieces. Capacity building can be program development, delivery, and evaluation. A course, that programmatic development, like I mentioned before, you can be expanding on existing programs or creating a brand new program. For our our hands-on VISTA members, we typically partner with host sites for 3 consecutive years. So what that means is that after 3 years, we should no longer have this specific role as a VISTA member with that organization. The first year, we like to consider it that foundational, creational, building piece of program development. The second year is going to be implementation of that, see if it works, things of that nature. And then that third year is making sure that it's fully sustainable, right, with the tools that previous VISTA members have created. And then also passing that on to a full-time staff, creating an analysis for it, see where there are gaps that need to be filled, things of that nature to make sure that the delivery of it and the analysis of that program is full and thorough. So that's why we expect 3 years for most of our sites. You can improve tracking and program outcomes as well. We have a huge emphasis on making sure that you are looking at surveys of what the community needs. How are you making outputs successful? How are you making your outcomes successful? You're not just tracking how many people you're supporting, you're tracking if these people have had improved well-being, right? We want to see that I can say, hey, I taught someone because I handed them a flyer on substance abuse. That doesn't mean that they understood it. That doesn't mean that they comprehended it. What if you handed an English flyer to someone that speaks Spanish? How is that really supporting them, right? So you want to get that that input from the individuals that you're serving. You can increase the number of beneficiaries served, so expanding programming to different organizations. And again, the assessment of these programs. How do you analyze and evaluate those things? And then next, we also have technology use. So a big part of creating a successful program is making sure that you can track it, right? So maybe building Excel files to keep track of what you need. Maybe incorporating new systems that maybe a program hasn't thought of before. And even piloting like new technological tools. Maybe using like a new social platform. Maybe utilizing Salesforce, or maybe an IM system so that you can communicate with your staff more internally. How do you communicate externally with the community? Things of that nature, right? Expanding technology is definitely which how technology is expanding in our community. We want to make sure that everyone is getting involved in that too. So. And then next up, we have outreach with capacity building. So you develop plans, right? The best successful outreach plan is when you think of questions that might put you back, right? Think of challenges. What could come up in our outreach plan? You don't want to be in the middle of outreach and you have issues because then that's going to pull you back for your ability to connect with the community. Um, Outreach could also be developing and piloting training for staff. How do you make sure that those that are getting the support are fully trained? How do you train volunteers to help the community? How do you make sure that that also is consistent, right? And then creating community presentations. A big part of being a VISTA member is being able to educate the community. How do you look to educate those so that they can educate themselves further, right? That's a big part of outreach. And then last but not least, we have volunteer management. A lot of the work that nonprofit organizations do cannot be done without volunteers. HandsOn is one of those organizations. We're a volunteer management org. We cannot do anything that we do without volunteers. We've run 800 person volunteer projects before. We have to develop a recruitment plan for those volunteers, and we also have to do the volunteer management of training them, creating partnerships so that we can get more volunteers. How can we make sure that they're informed of what they need? How do we get that information out? So volunteer management can be a large part of it as well. Here we go. And then next, just some specific programmatic requirements, okay? So with AmeriCorps VISTA, you must complete full-time hours per week. It's a full-time program. It's a 1-year service program, so 365 days after you start, you also finish your work. And then ideally that'd be passed on to the next VISTA member, or if you're closing out the program role, then you'd be passing it on to staff full-time. Monthly professional development with all of our hands-on VISTA network. So this isn't, I can't speak for all VISTA programs, but for our VISTA program in particular, we actually take our members to a once a month luncheon at a community agency or a municipality to not only just learn about that organization, but learn about topics relative to that. So that's where we get the opportunity to bring all of our VISTAs together to learn about what one another does, how can they partner within their organizations even. And then also, how can we learn to be better nonprofit professionals? How can we learn to be better members of the community? How can we develop our programming? So that's where we start learning about the asset mapping. That's when we learn about trauma-informed care. It's when we learn about cultural competency. All of these things come into play when you're trying to create programming and also connect with the community that you're working with. So our professional development is a big part of our programming. Like I mentioned, you get a modest poverty level stipend. And with that, we know that you need some kind of payout to get from the program. So this is where you get it, that professional development. How can you improve as a personal and professional wherever you go after your VISTA service? So our professional development is a big part of everything in our program. We do not do professional development at any point. The second you even become a candidate for the role, we actually, through our interviews, we carry you to expand on what you want to do, help you, give you a review, things of that nature, all the way to the end to finding you another job post-service. So some other program requirements. Once a month calendar projects with hands-on. This is a specific thing to us. Like I mentioned, we're a nonprofit that specializes in volunteer management. So with our calendar projects, we actually look to have you be a volunteer leader. And as a volunteer leader, you'd go to a project of your choice. So some of our visitors have worked in gardens, some have worked at soup kitchens, some have worked to lead bingo night at an old folks home, things of that nature. We've done veteran support too with our calendar projects. Some can work with puppies if they wanted to on a regular basis. But at these calendar projects, you learn to be a better leader, essentially. How can you lead a group of volunteers to get a job done? So we teach you how to do that so that you could lead those once a month for your experience in your service. And then last but not least, we have different service days. Two that are required by AmeriCorps are MLK, and then 9/11. We always do a service day, getting out in the community, helping individuals get connected, things of that nature. With our MLK, we actually have gone fruit cleaning before, and then 9/11 looks a little bit different each time. Typically around 9/11, we try to honor our veterans or something of that nature, but that can look a little bit different. Maybe we have like a family day to honor 9/11, things of that nature. So, and then we have two hands-on specific service days because, like I said, we're a volunteer management organization. So we like to incorporate our VISTA members just to get involved in our programming that we're doing. So we have Servathon, which is actually kicking off this next week since we're in the middle of April, and or starting April, I guess. But with Servathon, we essentially volunteer month is in April, so we do a big volunteer campaign to get people out in the community. So we have our VISTA members join in on that. And then Hands-On Neighborhood Day has been rebranded a few times. It's actually Hands-On Fall into Service now, and that's typically in the fall, which is why we've rebranded it a little bit. And that's just another kind of encouragement to get people out. We want people to come out and volunteer more often. So we always incorporate our VISTA members in our big projects that we have like that. And then next, a little bit of information about our member benefits. Like I mentioned, this is where we're going to talk about stipends, specific benefits that you get from the program. With the living stipend here in Maricopa County, and this is specific to Maricopa County, it's $960 biweekly, and that's distributed directly from AmeriCorps. So AmeriCorps will pay that to you. You'll do your AmeriCorps paperwork at the beginning of your service, and you can get that direct deposited to yourself. It's not called a paycheck because you're technically not a staff member. You're working with this federal program, so we do give a living allowance. Sometimes, and most of the time, I usually just call it a stipend, which it also is. It's the living allowance stipend, okay? And then with our program, Again, this is specific to hands-on, $600 professional development fund. So we actually offer this out of our pocket to all of our VISTA members, so that we could support you in any way that it looks like, because we want you to have that professional development opportunity. So on top of that, we also give that real life experience, the education, the professional development, like we consistently emphasize with our program. You can't always go into a role, especially as a staff member, and be expected to not know everything right away. With this program, we want you to learn. We want you to get that experience. You can't be successful in your future career without the opportunity to just learn. So that's what we hope to provide to all of our VISTA members, a genuine experience that gets you the opportunity to, one, get your feet wet, get your foot in the door, network with the right people, and hopefully get a full-time job in the right field for yourself. So those that have children, childcare assistance is available for any qualifying individuals, and as a sponsor, we support that to get that all managed and get you signed up for that if you do need childcare assistance. Uh, HandsOn also offers mileage reimbursement. We don't expect you to go across the city without some support. This isn't just for your regular commute. This is maybe for service days that we have required, our monthly luncheons that I mentioned before. That's where that mileage reimbursement is important, because we understand that your living allowance is limited, so we don't want you to have to go across the valley, because we do have some crazy areas that we support that can be crazy out of the way, but we want to make sure that those areas get the support because they need it, right? There is a healthcare allowance available with AmeriCorps as well. That is always available to review on the healthcare benefits page. Then we also have a member assistance program. That is with the Arizona Service Commission, and they actually provide the member assistance program. It can be health support, financial support that you may need, mental health support, things of that nature. You'll actually have someone to talk to get ideas, to get some coaching from. And that's with ASK, the Arizona Service Commission. So that's very specific that we do with our program. We have to sign up for that. But we provide you more information if you start as a VISTA member for that MAP service, okay? Loan forbearance for federal student loans is also available to all members. This is very specific. AmeriCorps will approve it, but the person or the people that make the final approval is the institution. So you have to make sure that you reach out to your institution to finalize that. So, of course, as a sponsor, I would support in making that happen, getting you the resources that you need to be successful in that. But that can be a little bit tricky sometimes, getting in touch with their specific institution, but depending on what it is. And then last but not least, these last two bullet points are what you get at the end of service. So once you complete service, you get a $7,395 education award. That's for anything related to higher education opportunities for yourself that you'd like to do post-service, or student loans that you might have. Okay, and you can apply those towards an institution. And some people don't always have student loans, and some people maybe have already finished their schooling once they've done AmeriCorps. So if you don't want to go for an educational award to be applied specifically to an institution, you can actually opt for an $1,800 cash award post-service. And both of those are taxed the year that you use it. And then we also have what's called a non-competitive eligibility credit. So essentially, the NCE is that if you're looking for any federal roles after your AmeriCorps service, you actually get extra points towards your application. So all federal roles are at point-based applications. So if you are applying for a role, you get extra points towards that others may not have if they haven't served in AmeriCorps. So, um, all right. And then here with AmeriCorps, we're talking about everything that we can do, right? The capacity building of it, the volunteer recruitment. There are some things that we cannot do as a federal organization. Lot of this is listed in the VISTA handbook, the AmeriCorps handbook. But two things that I find very important are the very top and the very bottom. I feel like those two encompass essentially everything in the middle, right? So one is attempting to influence legislation. AmeriCorps is a non-bipartisan organization. So we are not looking to support any specific party. We're simply looking to achieve the mission of alleviating poverty. As an individual, you can feel free to do what you please. Please go vote. Please go participate in whatever your political beliefs are. But as an AmeriCorps VISTA member, when you have that hat on, we cannot do those things. We're a federal program, so we are simply seeking to help the well-being of the community, not endorsing any sort of political affiliations, okay? On your own time, you can feel free to vote, you could feel free to organize, but as an AmeriCorps VISTA member, when you have your shirt on, when you have your hat on, your pin on your polo, make sure that you are simply doing programming that is relative to that capacity building for all individuals in the community, okay? And then that last bullet point is writing grant applications for funding provided by any other federal agencies. And this is pretty clear. We are a federal program, right? So you cannot apply for other federal grants because it's essentially a conflict of interest. So you can definitely review this anytime on the AmeriCorps webpage or the handbook. But essentially, those two things really encompass the entirety of these bullet points, okay? And then we like to add this to all of our presentations that we share with the community and our VISTA members because we just find it important to take a moment to really understand the idea of AmeriCorps. So I'll read this directly to our group here. A year in AmeriCorps should be a year of growth, personal and professional development, and new experiences. A member at your organization, remember at being a member at an organization should be provided with a supportive environment in which to take on new levels of responsibility and ownership for projects and programs. So with this statement, what I really want to emphasize is that AmeriCorps is not a internship they're getting involved in. It's not a opportunity to, just go and kind of learn. We are encompassing a lot of things into it. We're encompassing the opportunity to be a growing professional, to get different experiences that you wouldn't have otherwise, to learn about a community that you maybe don't have as much connection to, or maybe a community that you just have strongly wanted to help. And with programming, a lot of people think, oh, like this is like an internship or something like that. It's 100% not. It's an AmeriCorps VISTA opportunity. And throughout that, you're actually building programming. You're taking ownership, responsibility for it. What you create in AmeriCorps could go on for decades. And that's something we want to emphasize for a lot of our members. What you're doing is not just for that year. It's going to have longevity to support the community. So we want to make sure that that's respected as an AmeriCorps organization. And then these next few slides here are just kind of going over some impact that our program members have had over time. So we'll go over some stories of what has been created, and this right here is just a clear-cut data of our VISTA impact. This was, let's see, this is from our program year 23 to 24. So this was actually from when I first started as our program manager. So over a 6-month period, our VISTA members were able to manage 293 community members. They leveraged 51,749 in-kind resources and leveraged $56,350 in cash resources. That is very difficult to do just as an individual, but all of our VISTA members have come together and brought in resources for their community agencies. And they've managed 1,176 service hours performed by volunteers here in the community. We take this data and we share it with the federal agencies so that they can make sure that they know what we're up to, and that we want to show the rest of the world, the rest of our communities, that VISTA is making a very impactful touch to the people that we're trying to serve. So I just think it's crazy to think this was over just 6 months. It's hard to do this over 6 months, but with our VISTA members, we can do a lot as a team. So. And then here, We have some impact stories of members that we have had in the past. We had a member with Bloom's 365, and she actually created a peer advocate academy training, gained 1,300 worth of donations, and also allowed 23 young people to participate in a training that she created to learn more about those that are experiencing violence or domestic violence. A lot of the times, a programming like this with Bloom 365, the intention was to address relationship experiences with teenagers. So a lot of the times, domestic violence is just addressed after the fact, after that it's happened. But in this case, we're trying to find the root of where it's coming from. So it's young relationships that you're having. Relationships can not even just be a boyfriend, girlfriend, it can be a friend that you have. When you're having some kind of issue at home or maybe with a partner, how do you address that violence? So she actually created a training through an online system that would carry you through what that would look like and what appropriate and inappropriate responses would look like. This training was really cool and actually was able to get into a handful of schools. And from what I know, it's still being utilized at these schools as well. And then one of our members, Lucille, was at the Sedivaki Museum, and they actually were teaching a volunteer program specifically to encourage teenagers to join the volunteer workforce so that they could learn more about how to teach education, learn more about artifacts, and also learn to expand their opportunities in the arts, have career conversations about what it means to work in a museum, things of that nature. So. And then here we had a member, Megan, that actually worked with the Little Free Libraries over at Southwest Human Development. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen Little Free Libraries. They're like little mailboxes of books, essentially. And what happened actually previously before COVID, these were not tracked appropriately. So during COVID, they pulled a lot of the little libraries in. You know, we didn't want people in public spaces. We didn't want things being spread. So a lot of these were pulled and they weren't being tracked. So they didn't know where they went. They put them out there, but it wasn't followed through with. So we're missing little free libraries. We couldn't find the libraries to fill more books into them to encourage that mission of literacy in the community. So she was actually able to expand it. When she first started her service, her and some staff members literally drove through certain areas just to find little free libraries that they were told that were in that area. They had to go to different organizations to ask them if they wanted a free library so we can expand literacy across the community. And then with her role as a VISTA member, she's actually able to create a gala that brought in a decent amount of money for the organization to expand their literacy education programs. So there's some really cool things that VISTA members can do for the community for sure. And then last but not least, we have some key terms for AmeriCorps. And this is mostly for training to make sure that you understand what each thing means. So again, Corporation for National Community Service, what an AmeriCorps member is, our living allowance stipend, what that educational award is. So this is really just kind of a review of some of the things we went over today with our presentation. And then here's a little bit of history of our partners over the years. We've worked with a lot of organizations. One that I like to point out is downtown Lake Havasu. We typically only work with Maricopa County organizations because that's where a program is limited to. But AmeriCorps will sometimes reach out to us here at HandsOn as a sponsor organization, knowing the history that we've had with our members. And this specific organization was actually closing out, and this member no longer had a sponsor organization to support them. So we actually took them on to help them through the rest of their service here. So we've been seen as a respected organization over the past decade and some. So it's really an honor to be reached out to continue a VISTA member service here with that trust that will make sure that they get through the end of their year. So some really great opportunities, and we're expanding the programs that we work with. We work with a handful of different community agencies, and we're a rolling basis program. So we have opportunities throughout the year, not just early January. We have them every single month with this recent program year. So if you're interested, you could always check out our website. I don't think I have our website here, but I'll actually put it in the chat for everyone to review in just a moment. But really great opportunity. If you wanted to have a specific site that you wanted to work at, you could reach out to us as a sponsor. We could actually make that happen. So we have a lot of creative freedom with who we can work with and the programming that we can develop as well. So. And then last but not least, I want to open up to if anyone has any questions. Here's my phone number and my email that you can connect with me for anything that you may need in regarding to VISTA programming. If anyone is curious about how to get involved or how to start with the recruitment process, I would love to help you and be of support in that way. So I'll open up if anyone has any questions. You can feel free, or maybe if Mary, Danae, if I miss anything that you think I should add.
Sure. I was curious what recommendations you could give for submitting a competitive application.
Ooh, recommendations for submitting a competitive application. And give me one moment. I'm actually gonna plug in my laptop.
Sure thing. Yeah,
About
okay.
to die. Give me one sec. So the question was recommendations for competitive application process. Um, Recommendations, truly AmeriCorps VISTA, at least for our program, we definitely, with that emphasis in professional development, um, we're not necessarily looking for individuals that have all of the background, that have all the experience. Remember, the minimum qualifications for AmeriCorps Vista are that you have a minimum high school diploma, US, your citizenship status, and that you're at least 18 years of age. Okay. We obviously look for someone that has a little bit more education background because, like I mentioned, we have a big partnership with the city of Phoenix. You need a little bit of education or some kind of information to be in a role like that so that you can make sure that the programming is going to, adhere to city policy, things of that nature. But really, when it comes to what we look for someone that's passionate about the work that they're pursuing. We want someone that has a connection and alignment to the mission of AmeriCorps. We want someone that's going to be excited to help the community. Someone that is looking at this program as an opportunity to expand, to meet new people, to learn things, to be a active learner throughout it as well. We're looking for people that want to take advantage of what the program has to offer and are really looking to make that change in the community because we want to be able to foster that for any individuals that come through. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
I have a question. So I've seen students do AmeriCorps such as public allies while they're in school. You emphasize that this is 40 hours a week. Is this
Mhm.
something that students should consider after, or are managers flexible enough that they can do this while they're in school?
That is a good question. So it depends, okay? It depends on the individual, of course, what kind of workload are you willing to take on? And it also considers your scheduling too. So ultimately, any sort of full-time role, I would always recommend after school. School can be a lot for some people, especially it really depends on your degree that you're going for, what your degree requires. Some degrees require like doing internships, things of that nature that are very specific. So if you have a schedule like that where it pulls you away for a lot of time throughout the day, I wouldn't recommend that. But we do have students. We have a lot of online students with our program too that are maybe pursuing their education online, which is very helpful because then you're able to flex your schedule to do your studies. But with our program, like I mentioned, you need to do 40 hours a week. It's full-time hours. But we're flexible with that. So some of our roles have different schedules. Some are Monday through Friday, some are Tuesday through Saturday, some are like one that we'll actually have upcoming with the City of Phoenix Public Libraries with their College Depot role. They have a schedule that is Monday, Tuesday it's evening, and then the rest of the week it's actually a morning shift. So we have some unique roles that can be flexible with schedules. The best thing that I would recommend, it doesn't hurt to ask. If you're not sure if your schedule works or not, but you want to do AmeriCorps, connect with your sponsor, connect with your recruitment program manager, and the best thing that they can do is provide you the right advice to be successful to hopefully become a VISTA member.
Thank you.
Um,
Mm,
Hi, I'm Riley. I have a couple questions.
yeah, please.
Um, how much flexibility or like freedom do you have in choosing like what program you would do when you like sign up for Vista?
Yeah, so if you actually go to our website, which I guess it is on here. So if you go to handsonphoenix.org,
Mhm.
the end of my email, you'll find our webpage. It'll be a little bit digging, but essentially you go to our drop down, give volunteer support. You click AmeriCorps Vista, then you find our Why Vista page. And then at the very bottom of that page, you'll see all of our available roles. So like I mentioned, we're a rolling basis program. So it really just depends on whatever we have available at the time. Something to consider too, especially if you're still in school and you want to wait until after graduation or something. We have three consecutive program year roles, right? Like I mentioned, we work with a host site for 3 consecutive years to make sure that they get their programming set, and then we close out that specific role. So it depends on what you're looking for. We have a variety of different options with our roles. Like we have 2 roles right now that both work with food insecurity with Creighton Community Foundation and St. Vincent de Paul in their mission engagement programs. We have multiple sustainability and environmental roles. We have one with the City of Phoenix Housing Department in environmental programs.
Mhm.
We have a role with the City of Phoenix in sustainability, one in energy access programs, and then one in transportation, which Karen will actually be a part of supporting that VISTA member through their year. So it really just depends on what you're looking for. Right now, all of our start dates, like I mentioned, we're a rolling basis, so our start dates are different for each one. So that's why I'd definitely recommend checking out our website for those specific dates.
Okay.
But otherwise, we have a start dates for different roles every single month up until August. So check it out. You'll be able to see what we have available. You can also go to my.americorps.gov, and that is the official AmeriCorps portal to look at all AmeriCorps roles nationally. If you look into the search bar for that and you specifically type in hands-on Vista, you will find our program. All of our roles will be available on that portal through that search.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then, because you mentioned it's like a year of or indirect service. Is that like 1 year in one program, or could it be like 3 months working with one program and then you move to another?
Yes, so it is 1 year in the one program.
Okay.
With the programming, we have what's called a volunteer assignment description, or the VAD for short. And that VAD essentially lists out the objectives and the tasks that a VISTA member will do. We, as a program, we take into consideration that programming can change throughout the year. So we actually try to make some of the objectives and some of the tasks as broad as we can so that you have a little bit of creative freedom with what you can do in that program. So even if you're looking to get different experiences, you can actually do that with one role
Okay.
to see how you can expand on that programming. So you have a little bit of creative freedom in that too.
Okay. Because I've seen some roles like posted online that were AmeriCorps and it said like 3 month and they don't say specifically if it's like AmeriCorps Vista or AmeriCorps State and National. So I've been so confused about the difference between the two.
Yeah, and it can be a little confusing. That's why we kind of go over like the umbrella of it, the different programs that we have, because they're all a little bit different. Vista, across the board, you're going to find 1 year service term, and you're going to have a specific full-time hours, okay? That's Vista every single time. State and national, it really just depends on the programming that you're doing. Like Danae mentioned, Public Allies, I know they do a 10-month program, part-time and full-time opportunities. So you just have to be able to look through that AmeriCorps portal and search what's right for you. And
Okay.
ultimately, on all of those listings on the AmeriCorps portal, you have a contact. So on all of our hands-on Vista portal roles or
Mm.
listings, you'll find my name. But if you go to a listing, you can actually reach out to whoever posted that, ask more questions to them, see what their programming is about, things of that nature. So.
Okay. Thank you.
One more question from me. Can you walk us through the application process?
Ooh, good question. Okay, so the application process is very simple. Apply. And then from there, I guide you through the rest of it. Okay. So to start off, whenever we get an application in from a candidate, whether that be through our handshake portal, through our AmeriCorps portal, or any, outreach that is brought directly to me, I will actually set you up for a quick call. And with that quick call, it's about 10-15 minutes. It's just one so I could share about our programming with you, make sure that this is the right fit for yourself, and see if it's worth to go through the recruitment process for yourself. So we'll get some people that apply that don't realize AmeriCorps is what AmeriCorps is. So they might apply and say, "Oh, actually, I can't do a full-time role with you guys." No problem. Let's keep you on your list. We'll reach out later. So we'll do a quick call like that to make sure that this is the right fit for you, answer any questions that you might have, make sure that this is what you're looking for, essentially. After that quick call, just 10 minutes, and say you're moving forward, what we'll do is we'll have a first round interview with you. And that's just with me at HandsOn or one of our AmeriCorps staff as well that support me in completing first round interviews. And then once you're eligible with the first round interview, once you pass it and we consider you, this is a good candidate, we'll pass you on to a second round interview with any of our host sites. So say you are working in, you're interested in environmentalism or sustainability. That's a lot of things that you can get involved in. Say you applied for our City of Phoenix housing environmental programs, but we also have another sustainability role that might be a good fit for. We'll actually make sure that we take into account your interests and try to get you enroll with us. And as long as you pass that second round, then you're a Vista member with us. So yeah.
So all they need for application material is just a resume and or maybe a cover letter.
Yeah, so for our program in particular, we actually just ask for a resume.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions from the crowd? Yeah, and I'll actually stop sharing my screen here. And what I'll do is I will add into the chat our website so that you all can get the opportunity to check it out a little bit. And then from there, it'll have some of the topics that we discussed this presentation um, as like an overview of our benefits, things of that nature. So,
All right. Well, thank you
oh,
so much, Epiphany and Danae, finding that website. And like Epiphany said, if you have any questions, you can reach out to her. And we appreciate your time.
no, thank you all. I appreciate you all for taking time a little bit to learn a little bit more about our programming, and hopefully you get interested in joining AmeriCorps VISTA.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.